You got me. I do love America. Did you see him rubbing his nips just a second ago? He was getting down.
That's why my eyebrows did that thing.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what. I didn't know if you could control that. I thought it was just
that's my nip rubbing eyebrow. It does seem a lot like it's involuntary.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Metacast podcast. That's a podcast that explores itself, explores ourselves, and explores the self in general. My name is Ty. I'm going to be your host, and as always, I'm joined by my devoted co-host, Distance, and we've got back again special guest Craig, who is he actually chose the movie that we're going to be discussing this week. And so Craig, you introduce us. What are we talking about tonight?
The movie that we're talking about this week is High Fidelity, one of my longtime favorites. Came out about 20 years ago, starring John Cusack, who plays a what's a kind way of putting it? We'll call him a lovesick, confused man.
Sure.
Who also happens to be an audiophile.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to say actually is that I have to disagree with Jack Black's character. Oh my God, what's his character's name?
Barry,
thank you. I Just Called to Say I Love You is an excellent song by Stevie Wonder.
That was the record the dude was gonna buy for his daughter, right?
Yeah.
He said you don't even know her, like.
And, are you sure she's not in a coma?
Yeah.
That's a weird thing to get your daughter though, you know.
Right, but to be fair, you know, he goes on this diatribe about how should we forgive great artists that for their sins later in their career, or is it better to burn out than to fade away?
Oh, I forgot he even said that. That's right.
Yeah, but anyway, the end of the movie when they play oh my God. Oh, what song is it? They play another Stevie Wonder song that's older, and it is an admittedly better song, but now I can't remember the name of it.
I've actually
wrote that down.
I never really listened to Stevie Wonder. I probably could not pick a Stevie Wonder song out of a lineup.
Oh, Stevie Wonder's great, man.
Yeah, really. Like,
yeah, it's pretty much, yeah.
I highly recommend delving into his catalog. But the reason I can't remember the name of the movie is because not only did I watch the movie twice in preparation, I also listened to every album that is mentioned in the movie on vinyl in its entirety.
oh, really?
No, I did not do that.
Okay, I was about to say, Jesus, dude, that is really fucking
It's like
dedication.
No wonder you suggested this film.
But what I did do is listen to the Beta Band. So I don't remember if you guys remember the scene where John Cusack goes, "I'm about to sell 5 of these EPs. Watch this," and turns on the Beta Band, and everybody's looking around and going, "Oh, this is really good." And I was like, "Well, now I gotta know." So after I got done watching the movie, I sat down with some headphones and listened to that record, and it's actually really interesting.
I listened to a lot of Kinky Wizards in preparation.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Gotta love the Kinky Wizards.
Kinky Wizards are pretty good.
I sold my mom's wheelchair.
Yeah. That's such a good EP name. Like that really is.
It is.
Oh,
but
man.
no, the premise of the movie is that John Cusack is being broken up with.
Yeah, it starts like literally in the middle of a breakup, right? Like
yeah, and he goes on to say that, well, this doesn't even make my top 5 worst breakups. If you really wanted to hurt me, you should have got to me earlier.
Mhm.
And we begin to learn that that Rob is not the most delightful dude to date.
Yeah.
He's very, very into himself, and he does not consider the feelings of his partners nearly as often as someone who should in a healthy relationship.
Well, he's a huge, like, he's just got a huge victim mentality too. Like, he keeps thinking of like all these situations where he was wronged, and like so many of them ends up like he was definitely the asshole.
And admittedly, one of the many reasons that I love this movie as much as I do is because it's a nice sort of, for someone that may have not been the most delightful person to date earlier in their maybe 20s, uh there's some a little bit of redemption, not so much for John, but just love in general, and maybe making yourself understand that it's not always about you.
Yeah.
Maybe all those times you were hurt in breakups, maybe it was you, maybe it was your fault.
Yeah, I forget, like, there was a quote that I read that's, like, after 25 crazy exes, there's a certain point where, like, maybe it is you. You need to kind of consider that. Like, I like that this movie kind of drives that point home, that it's like
Right.
at least it feels like in the beginning that he had this mentality that was like, oh well, yeah, it's I keep getting, or like, he even like, how does he pointedly ask people where it's like, why am I destined to be left or whatever, or why am I destined to be alone, or like, and he doesn't word it as destined to be alone, because even like specifically says that it's like it's them leaving him. And then as he like reviews and thinks about things, it's like, no, actually, never mind. There was a lot of situations where I was just the dick.
Yeah. Specifically with was it Sarah? I think was the ex.
Which one was Sarah?
The one from high school where he broke up with her, even though in his head she broke up with him, but in real life,
exactly,
he broke up with her because she wasn't willing to have sex with him in high school, even though she wanted to. She was trying to wait until college.
Yeah,
and then he found out that she immediately went off to college and slept with this other guy. And she reveals that it wasn't because she was in a super big hurry to sleep with the guy. It was because she was tired of fending him off, and didn't want to feel rejected again for that same reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're a big fucking asshole, Barry.
Yeah.
Not Barry.
Yeah, it's like
Rob.
Yeah.
Because he skews that like so heavily, and then when you and it's funny because it to me, like, that's like when someone like, for instance, someone tells you about some asshole at work and they're your friend and you'll never meet the person that they work with. I feel like that was like that, like the way he narrates it, and then we actually get to meet her and you're like, oh damn, dude, like you made her out to be completely different than she is.
Yeah, but he didn't even really go into what she did to hurt him. All he ever really taught, he told the story about how she wouldn't I forget the phrase that he used, but put out was the concept, and he wanted to touch her boobs and stuff, and she wasn't into it, or at least she wasn't into it yet. She was into him though, we found out. And he broke her little heart because he's an asshole.
But it seemed to play out, I mean, basically that way every single time. That it's like he was in almost every situation, he was really kind of a dick.
Right.
Like even up to and including the current Laura. Like that was
except
like
for Charlie.
I forget.
Well, Charlie, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. He felt like he wasn't good enough for her. He felt like she doesn't belong in the phone book. She belongs on Neptune.
Yeah, he even says that. Yeah.
He just knew she was going to hook up with one of the guys from work, and guess what happened? And it was he pushed her into it. Clearly, he set himself up for failure because he like he said, he never got comfortable. He never felt like he deserved her, and that's just no way to live. It's definitely no way to have a healthy relationship.
Exactly. Yeah, that is like you're not going to have any sort of good relationship foundation on that.
Nope.
It was a very, very weird place to be to start.
Yeah, I think the thing about this movie that kind of hit me the hardest is that it actually reminded me of all of the worst things about me. Like,
that's a good thing though, right?
Like the whole like, oh, she did this, she did that, it was her fault kind of thing, and the whole like wanting the whole chase thing, the scene where he tells Laura he's just fucking tired. Where he's like, let me see, what does he say? I'm tired of the fantasy because it doesn't really exist, and there are never really any surprises, and it never really, and she says, delivers.
Yeah.
And then the next line is delivers, and I'm tired of it, and I'm tired of everything else for that matter, but I don't ever seem to get tired of you. So
It's
that was kind of cool.
hilariously the most romantic thing he ever says
Yeah,
in
but
the
the way
whole
he
movie.
the way he says it is like this weird kind of like, I never get tired of you. So
Let's get married.
I do. But that's the thing is that, like, I found myself, being this sort of serial monogamous to the point like where if I'm dating somebody new, I won't even tell my family, because I feel like the moment I tell any of them, like, oh, here we go again. This shit.
Right.
It's like, and then lucky
They
you.
move in and then they leave you.
But,
God, Mom, that's cold.
but it's almost like purposely like going with people that I know are going to be a disaster. And then if it's someone that's not a disaster, I'm like, this is working out. What the fuck do I do now?
Yeah. What are you supposed to do?
Make sure you freak out and ruin it. That's what you're supposed to do.
That's the easy part.
So the most shallow thing about this movie, one of my hugest celebrity crushes is in this movie. Can you guys guess who it is?
Oh, I
John
know
Cusack.
exactly who it is.
Is it John Cusack?
Okay. My second biggest celebrity crush is in this movie.
Jack Black.
He got it.
Joan Cusack.
Seriously?
Was
Is
Joan
anyone
Cusack in
else
this?
tired of John and Joan being in the same fucking movies together?
No, they make perfect siblings. 'Cause
Oh,
they are.
Bruce Springsteen.
That scene was
Ah,
fucking
shit.
great, though.
That was a great
Like, he
scene.
says Springsteen.
Thanks,
like,
boss.
Bruce
Yeah.
Springsteen. Like, it's actually him. And I'm like, he's like having a conversation with the boss. But Craig, I know
It was
Craig knows
great.
who it is.
And he was going, yeah.
It has to be Catherine Zeta-Jones, right?
Yeah. What? No. Okay.
Well, you'll feel better.
Catherine
Maybe they'll feel
Zeta-Jones
better, but
reminds
you'll
me
feel
of
better.
Yeah. He's actually doing the thing.
Yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones reminds me of my sister, so no.
Do you have
I
your
know
biggest
who
celebrity
it
crush
is.
is your sister? That's
I
strange.
know who it is.
No, Craig knows who it is. Who is it, Craig? Go on.
It's Marie DeSalle.
Yeah, fucking Lisa Bonet, guys.
Who is
Yeah.
that?
She
The singer.
Cosby Show. Lisa, Maria
The
LaSalle.
girl that was doing the Peter Frampton cover in the bar, and then Cusack ends up hooking up with her.
I love how when he
Oh.
walks in, he's like, "Is this Peter Frampton?" And then
Yeah.
the bouncer's like, "Mm-hmm."
He says, "Is this Peter fucking Frampton?"
Yeah,
actually?
yeah, yeah.
that's
It's
true.
Peter fucking Frampton.
But it's funny because the three of them like have this whole dialogue. I'd like to date a musician. Wouldn't you?
Oh man, that scene is excellent.
But that's the thing is that.
I've always hated this song, but now I kind of like it. Yeah.
But she was an excellent cast for that because I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like she has that like kind of effect on people, like
For sure.
anyone, really, like regardless of gender or sexual preference or whatever. There's something about Lisa Bonet that's just very like, huh?
Well, her ex-husband is Lenny Kravitz,
Yeah. that's
Oh, are you
Who-
serious?
there's
who is
something
super
about
hot.
Lenny Kravitz.
but
That's
you know who
funny.
her current husband is?
I don't know.
Jason Momoa.
Are you fucking
Really?
Of course. Really?
She's done well.
Save some for the rest of us, Lisa Bonet.
Call Drogo himself. Jesus.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I can't say enough good things about Lisa Bonet.
But it's like you can see that like sort of weird, like superficial infatuation specifically with Rob in that
Oh yeah.
scene with Marie LaSalle, the singer, and all that. And the thing is like she's actually doesn't, because I expected that she was going to have a bigger part in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was like I was skewed because like I have such a big crush on the performer. But it looked that way. Like I think I would have written it that way, but that's exactly why they didn't write it that way, because everybody
Right.
saw it that's not a writer
Gotcha.
thought
Yeah.
they would
yeah.
write it like that.
I enjoyed that they let her have the whole like unattainable thing throughout, and even at the end she was like, well, this was just a hookup, I
Yeah.
think even people in pain should be able to have sex, that's a basic human right. And she's just so cool about it, and she just kind of skips on along her way and goes to do whatever it is she's gonna do, sing songs and have sex and drink beer.
Tell people that it's okay and it's a basic human right.
Right. But yeah, she's great. I particularly like the part where you find out that they've slept together, and the whole he sort of explains how it all happened and how it was the closest thing to intimacy that he could come up with to sort of play this like um you know, just under the surface sadness, but like also say kind things about his ex to have to be redeeming. Basically, he basically faked being a sweet, sensitive guy to get her to be into him, and you know, that's interesting.
Well, I think he kind of fancied himself that. I think he actually thought himself to be sort of a sweet, sensitive guy.
Yeah, but he even admits in
Yeah.
that scene that it's a facade.
Actually, I believe that's pronounced facade.
It's facade, yeah. It's definitely facade. Yeah, he's like the stereotypical nice guy, right?
Yeah, like the nice guy,
Right.
a nice guy, a nice guy. So it's like
Right.
this whole facade of like I'm so good and sweet and wonderful, but in reality I'm an entitled, superficial.
The nice guy that cheated and can't figure out why she's not happy.
Yeah, it's like I'm so confused. Like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you want.
And it was to cheat on that person.
And you do whatever it is that you want all the time, regardless of how it affects the people that you supposedly love.
Yeah. And it's like this, like, sort of, it's funny because since it's weird because the place that I am in my life right now, it was actually really important for me to like watch this movie now, because I'm actually at a point where my girlfriend has become it's complicated. And I recognized that. uh, Do you guys feel like Rob's character sort of puts too much weight on having a partner, like as somehow some way to be happy or content in life?
Of course.
Yeah.
And it's very clear that that was ingrained in him at a young age, because his mom won't leave him the fuck alone about it.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, because there have been times for me personally where I'm like, oh, this relationship isn't working out. Like, no, actually, you're having a major depressive episode, and you should not blame that on the person that you're dating.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wait, like there are even times in my life where I've like been like, man, this winter is gonna be depressing. Better find myself a girlfriend so I can get through it. So that's the thing. Like for me, is that like this movie was on the surface didn't seem like much to me, and I didn't really understand what I was getting into. Like when you mentioned it, all I saw was the cover with like the hair. I was just like,
And the record,
okay.
the album covers, right? Isn't
Yeah,
it
I was
like
like, what is this? Like a
Yeah.
Jerry Lee Lewis Elvis documentary? Like what's going on here? And like I thought that it was going to be superficial,
Not quite.
but the whole idea of like the elitism and the gatekeeping with them, and the music and stuff, like being judgmental of other people's tastes and things. Another thing that reminds me of the worst parts of myself.
Yeah.
Of course.
Like especially like liking aggressive music, it's like that's not real metal, bro. Don't call that metal.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know. Like it actually, I don't know. It struck a really personal chord with me.
For sure.
You suggested this, Craig. God damn it.
I suggested it because I have similar feelings about the movie, and I feel like there are a lot of this movie that I can relate to in ways that I'm not super proud of. But my favorite scene...
I wish you would have said that the other way. And like, I suggested it because it reminded me of all the worst things about you. I felt like you needed to see this movie. Like,
But my favorite scene regarding the whole gatekeeping thing is when the guy comes in and he's like, hey man, you got that record? I'm ready to buy it. And he's like, oh, and he grabs it from behind the desk and he looks at it for a second. He says, I just don't think we can sell it this week. You have to come back next week. And he's like, but you said that last week. Meh. And he leaves. And the other guy that's hanging out, who they're clearly friends with, says, how much you want for that? $40? And he says, Rob? And Rob goes, yeah, here you go. And he says, so you'll sell it to me, but not that guy. Why? And he's like, because he's a fucking dweeb.
Yeah.
He won't appreciate it. They care. See, that's the interesting dichotomy of this whole thing. They care so much about music being appreciated and music being understood that they're not willing to give anybody that they don't think is worthy a chance to even try.
Yeah.
And even if they would take it home, listen to it, and scrap it after that, and never listen to it again, and it collected dust for the rest of eternity, they still deserve the opportunity to try to give it a shot, to listen to it and understand it and appreciate it. And who the fuck are you to decide who gets that experience? You know, maybe that guy goes home, listens to it, and it inspires the shit out of him, and he writes his own album, and it's amazing. Who knows?
Yeah, and that's the other thing that drives me crazy is when they talk about what the fuck is Jack Black's character's name?
Barry.
Barry. When Barry talks about like the whole band thing, and it's like, oh, I sing, and you're like, yeah, but like, because that's the thing is like, like food critics. Food critics make me angry. Like, because it's like they write some fucking article with like all these like colorful adjectives and stuff, and I'm like, do you even cook, bro? Because it's like, you know, you like, I don't. It's really upsetting when certain people act like their opinion is objective truth.
Mm.
And, you know, I've been someone that's done that in the past. And, you know, I've kind of gotten over it too. But, you know, it's like, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I like one song by Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh, God.
I do. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
my
called
God.
Got Your Six. And I fucking love the song. And I don't care what anybody says. I fucking love it. And G-Eazy, I listen to G-Eazy in the car and I bob my head with my sunglasses on. And I love everything that Taylor Swift has come out with since 1989. And Justin Bieber's album Truth, fantastic. So to me, it's like you talk about like in the movie, like appreciating stuff. Well, if you can bob your head to it or tap your foot to it, as far as I'm concerned, you're fucking appreciating the music. Right? Yeah?
What was that?
There is one professional musician that is on this podcast right now.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I want to hear honesty from him. When I said I liked one Five Finger Death Punch song, what were you thinking?
Don't cringe.
yeah. How do you not cringe visually?
Yeah.
But
Got
just
Your Six is a cool song. If you listen to it, it's dance music.
I tried
It's
to
4/4
send,
pounding. It's dance music.
try to send the
guess-
cringe inside.
To be fair, I haven't listened to much of Five Finger Death Punch's catalog. But what I have heard has been not my favorite, to be
Oh,
nice about it.
I despise most of what else I've listened to by them. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I did find one song by them that I thought was really catchy and really fun, and I was like, you know what? I like this. I'm gonna fucking tell people I like this song now.
Speaking of which, here's a fun little anecdote. Distance and I once attended a metal show to see a couple of metal bands that he and I enjoy. And it turns out that Five Finger Death Punch was the headliner that night. We actually left before they took the stage.
You didn't even stay just to check out a little bit of what they were like live?
Not a
When
single
all-
song.
We didn't care at all. Like when All That Remains came on, he was like trying to get the crowd to get excited about the headliner. He was like, Five Finger! And we were like, what?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it was not.
No. Ollie, shred Ollie.
I mean, but Hatebreed were there, and Craig's not a huge fan of them. But I don't think that you would call Hatebreed objectively bad music. I think you think it's just not for you.
No, I mean, I have a hard time getting behind the whole like it's a little too. What's the word? To me, a Hatebreed show is like a high school pep rally.
I could see that.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I would call their music like motivation core.
Yeah. It's
But
supposed to be like
that's the
positive and
thing, it's like,
motivational.
it's
yeah.
intended to be like positive, but like there's some parts of it that are angry. I mean,
And I appreciate the place for that. Like I appreciate that, you know, sometimes there are people that need that and that does it for them. But for me it has the opposite effect because it feels disingenuous.
but the reality is, like, if you talk to those people, like if you hang out with them after a show, every single fucking member of that band will spend as much time with you as you want them to, and they're all super cool about it, and they'll talk to
And
you about
I
whatever.
applaud that to a million degrees. I appreciate that. It's just
But
it's not
I
for
understand
me.
why it might seem that way, but it's like I just get tired of, like, you go see Carnifex, or like, this song's about how you need to kill everyone, fuck everyone up, and it's just like, make sure everyone in the pit's bleeding and dead. Like,
Yeah, that's more my speed.
Yeah.
like someone's gonna take you seriously, bro. So I felt like it was unavoidable that we were going to talk about music, because of like the subject matter of the film, and I'm someone that hated Iron Maiden until I was like 24.
That's true. I can attest to that.
I still hate Iron Maiden.
Oh,
You have no soul. Well,
I'm not
you
a
know
fan.
what? I was gonna sell you this record, but you can't buy it now. Here, Craig, you can buy this for $40.
That's
thanks.
fair. That is fair. Yeah, like Maiden is one of those bands that I can appreciate that a lot of music that I like would have never come around if it wasn't for them. So it's like I have to acknowledge their importance, but as far as like just sitting and listening to Maiden, I'm not a fan. Like, of course the Trooper is catchy. Like, and of
Yeah.
course like Run to the Hills is catchy, and
Yeah.
but like I'm not gonna sit there and listen to Maiden by choice. They're just not. I just don't really enjoy that type of metal a
the
lot.
Trooper has its own beer.
That is true.
Yeah,
Yep.
if you're gonna be a metal fan, you have to appreciate Maiden, Dio, Sabbath. You just have to.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, even if that's not in your rotation,
But
every now and then you gotta throw that bad boy on and go.
I feel like everybody
Good job,
like
fellas.
metal.
Thank you for the music.
Yeah. Thanks for the memories.
I was thinking ABBA. Thank you for the music, but
It's all good.
thank you for the music.
But yeah, like that's just something that I feel like I've had to kind of like get over time. And that was the thing about this film that was so introspective to me, is that it was so many different parts of shit that sucks about me.
Yeah.
And even in this conversation, when I was like, Craig, did you suggest that because it's about me? You wanted me to know a thing? You did that to me.
It was
Right.
Yeah.
Victim, like
Me,
that happened
right?
here.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, don't call me needy. What are we doing this weekend? Don't leave my apartment until you say I love you. Like,
Well,
it's just.
It is funny too that it's like I think that Rob is made to be like that kind of everyman that you're supposed to relate to in that way, and it's like it kind of points out, like you're saying, that like everyone has those same issues, right? It's like it's like it's gonna point that out in everyone. Like it's not just a like, oh, I'm like that, like it's like, oh yeah, we're all like that.
If you don't have moments in your early to mid 20s where you're exuding some sort of character flaw that he has in this movie, that has to be typical, right? And that's not a good thing. That's something that probably we as men should be taught not to be like as teenagers. But
yeah, it's hard.
But it is not it's not atypical, I wouldn't think. And I think it's good that a movie like this can say, hey, this is what this guy's like, and this is why his life sucks, at least in his, opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe have a look at yourself, why don't you?
Well, exactly.
And I think that's healthy, self-examination is good.
Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, if not, like you were just saying, like you kind of need a way to deter people from constantly falling in that trap. And I think the media like this exists to do that. It's like there can be a made up character that went through that realization that then taught me something, rather than me needing to go through that realization myself, I guess.
Except I didn't watch this movie till I was in my 30s, so unfortunately.
Right.
But yeah, I swear, when I worked at Blockbuster, I put this movie back on the shelf so many fucking times, because when you said High Fidelity, I knew exactly what the cover looked like.
Yep.
Which is weird, because I love most of what John Cusack has done, and it's strange I never watched that movie.
You were the one that made me watch America's Sweethearts.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
that's a
shit
good
was
movie.
brilliant. Catherine Zeta-Jones is in that too.
Mm-hmm.
That
True.
movie's
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah, my mom like bought that on a whim on VHS, and I was like, John Cusack, cool. So like I watched it, and then didn't I? I think I brought it over to your parents' house.
I
And
think
we
you did
watched it in the
too.
basement. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
But I actually am considering watching this movie with my oldest nephew because I think this is like some important stuff that he needs to learn just to see like how this character kind of like figures things out. Does this movie fit into the category of coming of age films? Kind of.
How old's your nephew?
He's 13.
2 more years.
Yeah. You're not like.
Them hormones, though.
That's
2 more
the
years.
worst thing about this type of movie, though, is it is the like. You're never gonna get this until it's too late. It's the whole like you don't know what you got till it's gone type thing. Like you're never going to like learn this lesson at a time that's appropriate. It's always going to be like at least a year too late. Be like, oh yeah, no, I am the asshole and I need to fix that. Like,
It would take definitely somebody with a lot more self-awareness than I had when I was even 30 years old
yeah,
to really understand the arc and why. But it's also super important, like
yeah.
how, but let's not give a 15-year-old boy less credit than maybe they deserve. I mean, maybe they see the movie and maybe it keeps them from being a piece of shit. Who knows?
Possibly. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm getting like super cynical.
Either way, like we'll watch it and like talk about it, like drinking some coffee or like cooking some food or something. I'll ask him some questions. We'll just talk about the movie like we're doing now.
Yeah.
In a way that we can sort of figure out. And I'll just fucking tell him like, hey bro, straight up, this movie, me. Up until like recently, like that was me.
I wouldn't lead with that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not gonna lead with that. I'm just like once we get to the point, like I just don't want him to feel like whatever. I think it'll be good for him. Like I'm just gonna listen. Like, what did you think?
Maybe a better way would be there are certain character flaws that this particular person has that maybe you should think about and try not to emulate.
Or
Yeah,
just tell him that you're Dick. You identify a lot more with Dick.
Wait, that I'm a dick?
No, that you're Dick.
Dick the character.
Character Dick. The one we all love Dick, right?
But I'm not Dick.
Yeah,
break it up, guys.
We're all Dick a little bit.
Yeah, actually, can we just talk about him because
I would love to talk about Dick.
Like,
You want
he
to talk
seems
about
like
Dick more?
He seems like a flat character to me, but I feel like there's more to it because you guys really got on
So
like,
much to him.
before the podcast. You guys like really got on the conversation.
We really
like,
got on Dick, didn't we?
We did.
God.
I don't
The
know why you like.
character named
So Dick, who also has a penchant for being a music snob like the rest of the other two, he doesn't quite have the confidence
Yeah.
that Barry or Rob have. But when it comes to music, he seems to know his shit, right? Like he pulls this record out and he goes, "This is an influence for this band," and somebody goes, "Oh, is this band's new record?" No, it's not. But he, it seems like when it comes to music, he's got some like he's got stuff to say, and he's got worthwhile stuff to say. But as far as doing anything simple like being assertive in any sort of way whatsoever, he's just not capable.
Hey, it's not simple. What are you going on about here? No, yeah, like, I think they did really well with Dick as a character. He is that like you were talking about before the podcast. He's like that perfect level of awkward. It just like a lot of the scenes, like he just like kind of fills that role really well.
And he wants so bad to be effective, like the part where Rob accosts Barry after Barry says something about his girlfriend, not knowing yet that they've broken up, and he starts to like fight him, and Barry wants so bad, or I'm sorry, Dick wants so bad to go like, hey guys, break it up, like, and wants to stop the fight, but just doesn't have the wherewithal. You know, he means well. I like Dick a whole lot.
I like Dick a lot too. I wonder, like, between the two of us, I wonder who actually likes Dick more. I'm gonna have to
hard pressed
yeah
to like more than me.
I don't know, man. I feel like my appreciation for Dick might be stronger, but also, like, I don't know. You're the one that chose this movie, so like you had a long-standing appreciation for Dick before I was even exposed to Dick.
That's true. I've been a fan of Dick since God, when the movie came out in 2000. I don't think I saw it though until probably closer to 2010.
Oh wow, okay, jeez. So you missed out on a good 10 years of Dick appreciation then.
10 years of Dick that I missed.
Yeah. I am probably going to get you a shirt though that says like "Lovin' Dick since 2010." I think that would be a good shirt for you.
Damn it. I lost.
Did anyone notice that? So, Lisa Bonet, who plays Marie LaSalle, was on the Cosby Show, and Sarah Gilbert, who plays that kind of girlfriend that Dick ends up with, was on Roseanne.
I didn't realize that's who that was.
Oh,
but I knew
yeah,
I
she was.
her.
But honestly, I think she might have been one of the best castings for the film. Like, she did really, really, really well in that role. Now her character was completely flat, but I mean, it was the way that Dick and that character sort of bonded in the record store. I don't remember the.
Her name was Annie.
Yeah, Anna
Moss.
Yep,
Anna Moss.
Wow. It's apparently it's spelled ANNAUGH too. That's a weird, interesting spelling of Anna.
Because Barry makes a crack about, is she like furry or something?
Oh God. Well, the way that they wrote that little, I guess that was kind of like a meet cute scene between the two of them, I thought was kind of cool because like it like worked really well because she somehow sort of like kind of embraced and accepted his awkwardness.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool. I mean, it's like it's nice for people that are somewhat strange and awkward to meet someone that isn't made unbelievably uncomfortable by the awkwardness. But yeah, he was like, I don't know, man. He was a strange character, but he did participate in that weird, like, yeah, I want to date a musician talk when they were at that that show where she was covering Frampton.
Totally.
But the way he participated was somewhat different, though. I don't remember this.
Rob says maybe she could sit around the house writing songs and ask me what I thought of them, and then maybe even include one of our little inside jokes in the liner notes. And then Barry goes, maybe a little picture of me in the liner notes. And then Dick goes, maybe just something in the background that you wouldn't even notice.
See, and that's why I love Dick. Just little stuff like that is why I love
characters in one particular circumstance. That's
actually there are so many scenes like that where like entire characters are described in just a few lines. My favorite of which, and I'd like to delve into one of the only things that I really don't like about the movie is the way it ends, or at least the way the relationship ends or continues.
Yeah.
Clearly, Rob does not deserve Laura. First of all,
what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, well, how do we know?
Maybe the new.
We don't know. We don't know much about Laura. Laura could fucking suck, right?
I mean, Laura does suck.
Yeah.
Suck.
So then, how does Rob not deserve her?
Because Rob sucks more.
But they both.
Rob is the fucking worst, and he never is forced to change. There are no consequences for Rob. There's never anything that is like a hard line. Well, Rob, you're fucked. Now what are you gonna do? Yeah. It's always, well, maybe she'll come back to me, and then she does. And it's all out of circumstance. Her dad dies, and she goes, I just need to feel something, so I want you to have sex with me. And he's like, come again? And she's like, it's either that, or I'm going to go home and put my hand in the fire.
Yeah.
Unless you want to stab cigarettes out on my arm. And this I feel like describes both characters to a T. That line, and then Rob goes, no, I only have a few left. I've been
Yeah.
saving them for later.
Yeah.
So you're so fucking selfish that you're not even willing to take your last cigarette out of your pack and put it out on your girlfriend's arm, ex-girlfriend's arm,
Yeah.
so she can feel something. Like, you're so fucking into yourself, you wouldn't even give up a smoke. Like, man,
Yeah, that's good.
I love that scene. And then they fuck and they get back together.
Well, I mean, you know,
Simply because she's tired.
Yeah.
My dad's died, and well, this will be easier. And he goes, and she goes, well, you know, romance will happen down the line, but for right now, I just need something easy. And he's fine with that. I mean, at first he starts to protest. He's kind of like, well, what do you mean? So just like that, huh? And then he's like, oh, okay, move back in. And then she moved back in, and it was like she never left. And then we had sex every night, and we went out for dinner every night, and everything was great. But then he meets.
Yep.
This girl comes in to the store, who is, I guess, a writer for a local paper or something like that on music.
I think it's something like that, yeah.
And it turns out he's a fan already, and she's super cute. And of course, oh, I'm gonna make her a tape, because that's what you do, right?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, he's such a piece of shit.
Embarrassed.
He's just such a piece of shit. Why?
As to how much I relate to Rob's character in my, especially 12 to 30 years old.
Well, I mean, if I'm honest, I find that unbelievably cheap, because of, especially because of what he says. Let me see if I can find. I have a list of lines that I remember from the film that I liked. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Now, the making of a good compilation tape is a very subtle art. Many do's and don'ts. First of all, you're using someone else's poetry to express how you feel. This is a delicate thing. And like, I'll just go ahead and open up here. There's a particular ex that I had that both of you are aware of, but Craig heard most of the dirty stuff, meaning the shitty stuff involved in it. And that individual was incapable of expressing anything.
The dirty stuff.
So they just made me like all these like fucking like mix like CDs and Spotify playlists of shit that they pretended to feel, because they're like, oh, this sounds good, that sounds nice, this is sentimental. So like I kind of like despise that whole thing just because of that experience. But you know, like I know, like, do you guys remember that song, like Sixpence None the Richer?
Yeah, Kiss Me?
Kiss Me?
Yeah, of course I remember Kiss Me.
So someone who we went to high school, middle school, well, we went to middle school with, I think Craig might have been in high school then, that we all know, Chad, whose name I won't mention, Chad. I remember he came to school with like this little cassette tape, and he said, man, I listened to the radio for like 3 hours to get this song. And I was like, what song? You know, Kiss Me. I was like, seriously? He's like, I'm going to give it to a woman who I won't mention. Girl.
I was like, really?
Yeah,
she's 35. I'm really into her.
Well, now she's 35, I'm sure. Whose name I won't mention, Meredith. And he gave this person, Meredith, the tape. And I was like, aw. Like, that's what I thought. Like, what a sweet thing to do. But like,
it is.
But is that a thing now? Do we send? I guess we just send each other Spotify playlists now. Actually, I sent Craig a Spotify playlist today.
Really? That's funny.
Well, it's one that I'd made like a while ago, and there's one specific song on there that I was like, you know what, I should send this to him.
I don't limit so here's how that's evolved for me. Making tapes for girls was definitely a thing when I was a kid, and definitely a thing that I did. And then obviously middle school-ish, I think I had the ability to burn CDs, and that started happening. But as an adult, it's definitely not limited to like I'll make a Spotify playlist for somebody that I care about. It might be a male friend or just somebody that I appreciate, that they'll appreciate the music. You know what I mean? Pardon me.
Got to make sure
And
they'll appreciate it though.
Yeah, they have to. Yeah.
I'm a professional appreciator.
Yeah, if they're
That's
not going to
my favorite
appreciate
phrase.
it to like the
That's my
full
favorite phrase in the
extent.
whole movie.
Yeah.
Professional appreciator. And I love, that reminds me. I love how Laura, the girlfriend, calls him a professional appreciator, and then he uses that phrase to try to woo the new girl.
Yeah.
That was so shitty.
Yeah.
But like,
I'm
again,
gonna say I've never done it.
embarrassingly relatable.
What movie was that I saw recently? Oh, Crazy Stupid Love.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
You're the perfect mix of what is it? Sexy and cute.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Gross.
it's another one of those things you like
Super
recycle
gross.
the thing from another person to another. But like, I'm not gonna act like there's like things that I've said to several. Oh God, I am such a fucking piece of shit. Because like I've done the same shit. Like it's like the last one, like this. Maybe this one will like it. You know?
Oh my God.
Like I haven't been like this in years, but like. Wow, 20-something me was a miserable dickhead.
I will say this. I will give myself this one tiny bit of credit. When
What's
it
that?
comes to whether it's a mixtape or a mixed CD or a Spotify playlist, if I've made one for a significant other or a love interest, I will not include any of the songs in another one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like once someone has claimed that song, you're not gonna give that same song to someone else.
And I'm super fucking like, I've had moments where like, have you had sex with someone else to this song? Because if so, I don't want, like, I'm super fucking like, I will not participate. I don't know what it is. It's dumb as shit. Like, it's like, what, are we not gonna watch the same fucking movies and shows? And like, I get weird about that too. Like, why are we so possessive? Why am I so possessive? I shouldn't say we.
I think it's a we thing.
Yeah, it's like what's you know, like there have been moments where it's like, have you had sex with someone to this song? Someone else like this is Bleed by Meshuggah. Like, why the fuck would anybody but to be fair, yes. But why would you ask me that?
There was a moment, this has been many years now, but there was a moment where I was about to sleep with my on again, off again girlfriend at the time, and she was going to play a song by an artist that we both liked.
Okay.
But the song was one of this artist's like most popular songs, and I was just sure that she'd fucked somebody else to this song. So I changed it, and she got mad, and we didn't have sex.
Oh, you poor thing. You're the victim here, John Cusack.
I know.
Yeah.
And I cried my way all the way to the fucking victim bank, and I played it for years and years and years.
Yes, I'd like to catch this victim check.
Mm-hmm.
What you really need to do is put on grindcore songs and just try to race them. You find like a good 28-second grindcore song and see who finishes first.
Wait, the grindcore song? Are you? Or
Yeah,
you were
yeah, exactly. No, you were the grindcore song. Yeah.
There's no way that could backfire. Yeah, man. There's actually a point where, do you remember that Train song? Hey, what's this day? Like, okay, the first time I heard it, the girl that I was dating at the time, I looked at her and I was like, you know what? This should be our song. She was like, yeah, let's make this our song. And then after we heard it, like for the 60th time on the radio, she was like, hey, can this not be our song anymore? And I was like, God, I thought you'd never fucking ask. Yeah, can we just come up with a new one? But it gets even weirder because I was listening. Okay. God, that like, okay, look, I feel like I'm never going to get a date with anybody that listens to us ever because of this episode. So hopefully they're not listening / watching. But
true. Okay.
Huge in Germany.
I was talking I was okay. I was dating somebody, and I was melancholy about someone else that I had just broken up with like a few months before.
Mm-hmm.
See a trend here.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't understand. I'm a codependent. And I was like reminiscing, like melancholy, depressed about this person, and I was listening to this song that was kind of like our thing.
Okay.
And then my current girlfriend called me, and the song was still kind of playing. I turned it down a bit, but she could still hear it, and she asked me what it was, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" It's the song's called "Red at Night" by Gaslight Anthem.
Okay.
Also, if you're listening, you both know who you are. And it somehow that became some weird sentimental song for my new girlfriend that was a sentimental one with my last girlfriend, and like I couldn't tell her that, and it was fucking weird every time she wanted to like listen.
Shame.
And I was like, this is so weird.
Craig, you actually cringed so hard that I heard it. I was scrolling through on my phone and like heard your cringe noise and looked at this, and it was like your mouth noise from cringing so hard that it actually made a noise. That was good.
Like, you should just rename this episode like "Distance is a piece of shit."
Well, we all are. That's what we all learned. It's not just you.
We're pieces of shit together in this.
We're pieces of shit in recovery.
I think if there's one thing that we can all agree on from this movie is that the parts of the main character that remind us of ourselves are embarrassing.
Yeah.
And we don't like that about ourselves or our past selves, hopefully. And we're gonna do the right thing and in the future recognize those bad traits and rectify them, right?
Yes, exactly. This movie is like, have you ever had those moments where you're trying to get to sleep and it's like dark room, there's no sound, there's nothing, lights are out, you're laying there, your eyes are closed, and then you remember this stupid fucking thing you did in 7th grade and you just go, ah! And like you sit up, you're like, why was I like this? Like, this movie is that feeling, like just in a 2-hour movie where it's like, why did I do this shit? Like,
so every night ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
It's like
anytime you ever try to go to sleep sober.
Yeah.
that moment when she was like, do I look unattractive in this? Let me put it this way. I would be embarrassed if people saw me in that. So in case I see anyone that I know, I would need for you not to wear that, please.
Did you say that to someone?
While I'm wearing a backwards Ducati motorcycle cap and a tank top that says "Suns out, guns out," and a pair of jorts and some Under Armour flip flops.
Shut the fuck up.
Are you for serious right now? Oh my god.
They were pants, but I cut them off.
When did you wear a pair of jorts?
Dude, it was okay. So like I do this thing where like I hang out downtown and like I walk the streets in like douchey outfits.
No.
And my
oh my god.
Jorts, they were cut off jorts, but they were cut off skinny jorts.
Ooh, that's even better. That's way better.
Skinny jeans, but they were jean shorts, and like and they were like they stopped like right above my knee, and I wore them because I'm a douche.
I'm about to cut a pair of skinny jeans into Daisy Dukes. I want them like super short.
God, please do. But the funny thing is like her outfit was actually quite flattering, and I just did that because I don't know why.
But yeah, that's one of those things that like
that
saying
keeps me up
that
sometimes.
exactly. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Backwards hat. Who is this person?
I wear backwards hats sometimes.
This wasn't distance. This was dist. This is what it was just dist.
That wasn't my affectionate nickname of Disty or Disty Boy, if you prefer.
I'm gonna write you a diss track.
Oh, that was actually pretty good.
Okay. Well, I'm going to hire Eminem to retaliate.
So, do you guys have favorite lines from this movie?
Oh, I've been saving mine.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know Craig does. I don't know.
Should we-
Did Disty Boy? Did you find a favorite
Oh,
line?
Distance has one.
Nice. Okay.
But should we let Craig go first or last?
Craig is gonna be last since he chose the movie. I'm gonna go first. Mine first.
Okay.
Mine. Okay. So I love. Rob says John Dillinger was killed behind the theater in a hail of FBI gunfire, and you know who tipped him off? His fucking girlfriend. All he wanted to do was go to the movies. I don't know why, but I really like that line.
I fucking hate you.
That's a good one. Wait, is that yours?
There's
The
no
reason-
way you were gonna pick that one.
The reason I was going to pick it is because it's a perfect example of him being a piece of shit.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I picked it too. It kind of like follows that same folder, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because of course you're going to fucking take John Dillinger's side.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. That's what I love. It's just like, and it's like, it's such a
his
kind of
fucking
like,
girlfriend got him killed. Well, he was a fucking murderer.
exact. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I love that so much.
That's okay. I can pick another one. I have lots.
I'm sure this is like a really like a very quotable movie.
Super quotable movie.
Yeah. I mean, not nearly as quotable as, you know, Bullshit Artist and Hootie Tootie Disco Cutie, but it's up there. It's up there.
My favorite line is it's brilliant being depressed. You can behave as badly as you like.
That is a good one.
Think
Which
that
it is like kind of true though. You kind of get away with shit like when you've got some sort of mental problem like that, whether it be depression or any other like.
yeah, but in his case, he might just be saying he's depressed because he's got that thing, you know.
He may just
Maybe
be an
he's like-
asshole.
It's like you can behave as badly as you like if you just tell everyone you're depressed.
Exactly.
Yeah, like that to me was like just sort of a glaring like character flaw, and to me like it's someone that gets down on themselves sometimes and feels sorry for themselves. Like that's just something that like resounded with me as like just a fucking yeah. Basically, all of his quotes, all the good quotes from this movie are the ones that accentuate flaws.
For sure. They're the most meaningful ones.
There's actually
Forward.
I have a second favorite though.
Go ahead.
Oh, I have a second favorite too.
Oh wait, can we do second favorites?
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna do two. All right,
11sies.
can I do my second favorite now too?
Yeah.
All right, it says at the very end when Dick comes over to Rob's place and he's like rearranging his record collection. I guess it's not the very end. It's like close to the end. But he's like, it looks like you're rearranging your records. It's like, what is it? What order is it? Is it chronological? No. It's not alphabetical. Nope. And Dick's like, what? And Rob says autobiographical. And Dick's like, no fucking way. Yeah. I love that line. Just, no fucking way. And he starts looking at him.
That whole scene, like he's just like it's like respect.
You're
Yeah.
a genius.
Yeah.
And he even goes as far to say, like, he'll skip the event tonight to help you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that interaction. I thought that was so good.
So my second favorite, which is much longer than my first, is Jesus. I'm glad I know nothing about psychotherapy, about Jung and Freud, and that lot. I fucked it up. If I did, I'd probably be extremely frightened by now. The woman who wants to have sex in the place where she used to go for walks with her dead dad is probably very dangerous indeed. Yep.
Yeah, the writing in this
Those are
movie is
my-
fucking great.
Those are my two, but for some reason the first one was my favorite just because of how fucked up it was. So all right, Craig, hit us.
Yeah,
with your
Craig,
one
what
and
is
two,
yours?
my dude.
All right. I'm going to go second favorite first.
Ooh,
Save the best for last.
you're going first favorite, second.
Rob, thank you for that kind introduction. We're no longer called Sonic Death Monkey. We're on the verge of becoming Kathleen Turner Overdrive. But just for tonight, we are Barry Jive and the Uptown Five. That's my second favorite.
I almost
That's
read that one a
brilliant.
minute ago.
But my favorite, if it's not going to be the John Dillinger one, Dick.
Sorry, I took your Dillinger quote.
So when in the end of the movie, when Rob is asking Laura to marry him at a bar at lunchtime,
Yeah.
Which
Romantic.
is
Super romantic. Great spot.
So Rob, classic Rob.
Yeah.
She goes, did you really think I was gonna say yes? And he goes, I don't know, I didn't think about it. I thought asking was the important part.
Yeah.
That is pretty funny.
What?
He doesn't think anything through.
No, he doesn't think anything through, but more importantly, he doesn't think about anyone else.
Yeah, at all. Yeah. But
True.
I
like
thought the important thing was that I asked, and then you would feel sorry for me because I'm sad. Look how sad I am.
exactly.
And then you just agree to do it like every other time.
Yep. It's just like, well, I thought if I asked, you would guilt trip you into doing it, right? That's how I get a yes, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
The temptation to manipulate people is always there, and it is a temptation.
And Rob is admittedly a smart guy and capable of just all sorts of manipulation, and even admits it throughout the movie that that's what he's doing.
Yep. Yeah, he's aware, definitely.
So I propose for our next movie talk, we allow the person that decided on the film to say their favorite quote first. So we don't accidentally steal it.
That's probably a good
okay.
idea. Sorry. About that.
Luckily, the movie was so quotable that there were plenty to pick from.
But yeah,
This
see that
podcast is also about itself.
that's
so
the
there's
other
that.
that's the other reason though, is if the person who is most familiar with the movie goes last and their quote was stolen, they're going to be the best at coming up with a back end quote.
Good call.
That's true. That is true.
Yep, they've got the experience with the movie. We both were kind of surprised you picked this movie. Like I think it makes sense, like Distance and I talked about that like earlier in the week, that it was kind of like it stood, it's different than some of the other movies we've talked about. It is along the same lines. I feel like every movie we have discussed is the word that I like for it a lot that I read in descriptions is like understated, I guess, where the main bulk of what the movie is actually about is not what the movie is about. Like if you read a plot summary of this movie, that's not going to give you anything about what the real meat of the movie is. Like, I mean, our entire discussion, we barely ever touch on the actual events that are going on in the movie. It's a lot more about like what this movie says about you and like what you get from it by kind of taking like a deeper thought. Like, but it like, I just kind of wondered though, is that a specific type of movie that this fits into, or is that something you can do with really almost any movie that we just do because of the way we look at things?
Well, obviously, what you would call these movies is cerebral. And
Yes.
because the three of us are so brilliant, we're the only people that can actually truly understand the main purpose of the films, the introspection and the exploration of what it means to be human. And I don't think there's any other set of movie reviewers that would ever be able to understand or truly appreciate what it is.
Yes, quite.
That sounds right. Yeah, no.
So
But-
true.
But you know what I'm saying though, is like, is it that that you can find that in any movie really ever, as long as your mind is open to it? Or do you think that it is like there are certain movies that are going to lend themselves to a discussion more like that?
Well, I mean, honestly, when we did Greasy Strangler, I faked that shit the whole fucking time. So, like, you can do it if you want to. You can read too far and hate.
I guess,
watch
yeah,
The
you're-
Land Before Time, and actually, I could do that easily.
Well, yeah, that's a good movie.
And
Man.
make it a big thing. Like, we could watch Ninja Turtles and do the same thing.
Gotcha.
We could talk about how each of the turtles represents a different part of your psyche, and how Splinter represents the what would it be? The inhibitive part that stops you from foolishness. Like, done right there off the cuff.
But like you're saying though, it's like can do it is like what you did with Greasy Strangler. That was a stretch. It was for satire. It was for fun. I'm talking about like the being honest with the content and where it probably was put there by. I would argue that, like, we're not finding stuff in High Fidelity that the filmmakers didn't intend to be there. I think that that's just what they wanted to instill, I guess. Is that the right idea? What they wanted you to feel from their media, I think, is what we felt. Not that it's like just that we found that there, or like we're reaching for it.
That was the intended meaning?
Yeah, I would expect so. I don't know.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so too. Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people just watch the movie and they're like, "Yep, Rob's an asshole."
Yeah.
And like that's pretty much that. Hardy Har, that was funny. Like Jack Black's so funny. He's so animated.
But I mean, I do think there are movies that are like that, where, you know, like specific, you know, not to like play down, like I love a good action movie, but I think there are a lot of movies that on their surface, that's what they are. You can describe the plot, and the plot is about the action, not about like, oh, well, what did that action really say about, you know, society or about this or about that, you know, versus like an understated action movie that it is really like, hold on, well, maybe we're using this action to make you think something different, or like, yeah, to make you think, period, I guess. But yeah, so that was kind of like what I was saying, was like, it seemed like a strange choice to begin with before I had because I mean, before I watched this movie in the past week to prepare for this episode, I think it'd probably been like at least, yeah, maybe 10 years since I've seen this movie. It's been quite a while. So when you brought up, you know, in the list of movies that we had watched, with them being pretty like cerebral, pretty like thinky pieces, when you brought up High Fidelity, I was like, I just remembered it as being like a comedy. I didn't really remember there being much more to it, but I guess like I may have saw it at an age where I didn't get a lot of what else was going on, really. But
Right.
Yeah, like I was almost gatekeeping movies, like High Fidelity.
yeah, why would we discuss that?
It's clearly below us.
Yeah.
And then like because Greasy Strangler's not.
Well, I was gonna say, I feel like after I got Greasy Strangler on the list, there's where else can we go? I mean, it's there's.
Yeah.
I feel like we could Land Before Time would be a fucking huge jump from Greasy Strangler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. Land Before Time was, they were actually attempting to make a good film, whereas
And did a great job.
Yeah, at least the like.
Land Before Time was,
You guys know that there's
you know
like
what?
9 of those.
You know,
Yeah, there's a bunch.
you know what we should do?
What's that?
I have a little
We should
sister.
The three of us should take one of our favorite movies from our very young childhood that we haven't seen since then, and we should watch those and do reviews on those.
But what happens when? Okay,
Easy choice.
do you remember how you felt when Craig didn't like Drive? What happens when it's a movie that you actually care about from your childhood, and Craig's like, "This fucking sucked. I can't believe that any kid would be stupid enough to watch." I'm just like, no, Goofy movie, no.
The only children's movie that matters at all is The Brave Little Toaster.
Oh,
Ooh,
Jesus.
that's a good
Dude,
one.
that movie, that's the first movie I cried during.
God, that's a good one.
That is a gut wrenching.
Holy shit.
I can point everything about myself in at least some part of that movie. That movie created who I am.
Dude, I watched that movie a lot as a kid.
And I'm laughing as I say it, but I mean it. I
No,
fucking
yeah,
mean
no.
it.
I completely, like, honestly, as far as like animated movies, if you count all the Disney movies, all the animated, like that is probably the movie that I watched the most. I watched Brave Little Toaster quite a bit
By a
growing up.
landslide.
Oh,
I
yeah.
watched it every day, all day for years.
Yeah, it was a good one.
So,
Was
Top Gun's what made me.
John Lovitz was the radio, right?
He sure
think
fucking
so.
was.
I thought so. Yeah, yeah. Oh my
Okay,
God,
so
bro.
we already have,
Ask anybody. Ask Teddy Roosevelt.
I don't even remember any of these lines. Like Blanky, I remember that.
Oh my God,
So-
there's a movie from
The
1998 called The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars.
Have you not seen it?
I have not. No, I've only seen the
What?
original. I've never seen that.
So I have a sister that was born in 1993.
Okay.
So when all that stuff was coming out, it was on the TV
Mhm.
all the time. I saw Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars, and that abomination should be burned in the deepest, darkest depths of hell.
I'm still gonna watch it. I'm gonna have to give it a shot.
I'm good. I'm gonna have to watch this now too. Like it's
Oh my
like when your friend's like, this smells fucking terrible. You're like,
Yeah, let me smell that. Yeah, let me give it a little smell.
yeah. It's just a thing that you do. Like the curiosity is overwhelming. Okay. Yeah. You know what?
Oh, hold
I
on.
think
We got one
that-
more thing before we wrap up.
Okay.
Ratings. We gotta give our ratings for this movie. We could just do a normal scale this week, like 1 to 7.
I'll take 1 to 7.
Okay.
I want to die.
For me, this was a solid 6 for me.
6 out of 7.
Yeah, 6 out of 7. If I can, like, I mean, if there's decimals, it's definitely not a 6.0. It's not an upper 6. Like, it's not a 6.9 either, but it's definitely not a flat 6. Like, it's a 6 and some change. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. It's got enough comedy in it that it's still like a comedy movie, I would say, but there's also enough substance there that the drama's like engaging. The storyline's like, I mean, like I talked about, it's not mainly about the storyline, but what happens in the movie is interesting enough too that it keeps you entertained. I really like this style of movie a lot. Like it's not as serious as a lot of the other stuff that like I would suggest, but I think that's a good break. Like yeah, I like it.
It's very generous score.
Distance.
I'm gonna say, hey, you know how you can tell Craig's pretentious? Because earlier he said penchant as opposed to penchant.
I think it's actually pretentious.
Is it pronounced niche or niche? Because I
thought it was Nietzsche.
Niche, watch people cringe.
I thought it was Nietzsche.
I thought it was Nietzsche. I thought it was Friedrich Nietzsche.
Yeah, Nietzsche.
I'm gonna go ahead. I think for this movie, the rating scale that I'm going to use is like the more uncomfortable I was with introspection, the higher the rating that it will get.
Okay.
So can we do decimals? Or are we doing
8 out of 7 then?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. yeah. You could do a decimal. In which case, I'm gonna put mine at like a 6.4 out of 7. If I gotta pick a decimal.
Notation. I'm gonna go ahead and say a 6.66.
Oh wow. Okay.
with the line over the second 6.
Repeating, of course.
Of course.
Well, both 6s repeat.
Oh yeah, if the 6s are repeating, then they both repeat forever. What came first, the 6 or the 6.6? Yeah. Yeah. It was I thought that the plot was cool and they made it like whimsical enough to where you could like laugh about some of this stuff, but it's just to me it's a journey of fourth wall breaks and amazing character flaws. And I just like the movie because it seems really real to me. It didn't seem very movie-esque to me. It seemed really real, kind of gritty almost for a comedy.
I'm surprised we didn't talk about this until right then, though. But like, do you guys like the fourth wall breaks? I thought it's done really well in this stuff. Like, I like this.
Oh yeah.
They were very oh my god, Frank.
Yeah, Underwood.
They were very Frank Underwood.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say it reminds me a lot of the style from like.
Hello, audience. I'm actually a psychopath. I'm gonna talk to you right now.
Jesus Christ! Why I keep wanting to say Game of Thrones? I know that's not what that fucking show is called. House of Cards. There we go. Thank you. I mean, this came out way first, but yeah, I like that style of fourth wall break though, where they kind of like actually talk to the camera and like the scene just kind of stops while they're talking. Yeah, I think it's done well.
What you say, Craig?
Well, here's the thing with ratings. So when I look at a movie on a scale of 1 to 7, for example,
as most do, yes,
7 is Godfather 2.
That's like your perfect movie is Godfather 2? Wow, okay.
For sure.
Okay.
And shut the fuck up, Distance. For me, a 6 would be like Forrest Gump. Like, incredible movie. Not perfect.
Forrest Gump is a 6 for you?
Forrest Gump is a 6. Godfather 2 is a 7.
Forrest Gump is an incredible movie, yeah.
So I'm gonna give.
So maybe we're like a little too forgiving. Are we like?
I feel like you might be.
Maybe, yeah.
But for me, and I love this movie. I picked it. I genuinely love this movie, especially the acting is fantastic. The shots are great. The dialogue is out of this world.
Yeah.
But I cannot give it more than what I would give, say, Forrest Gump.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give it a 5.9 out
Okay.
of 7.
See, I think maybe what it is, I don't know if my scale is is like necessarily linear. It may be that there may be like some logarithmic sense to my scale. So yeah. I'm just trying to defend a way that my scaling isn't skewed. All right. Since you're giving me that mouth open stare that makes me feel very uncomfortable.
I don't even know what the fuck that means. It's like I just
it means
like,
that the distance
okay.
from 1 to 2 on my scale is not necessarily the distance from 6 to 7.
I am the distance on your scale.
That is very true. You are.
Well, it's
Hot.
funny because it's so fucking hilarious. I'm sorry, Craig. I have to. I don't remember which Godfather movie
You're
we
a
were
dick.
watching. I swear I've said this to you before. Ty.
Godfather 1.
There.
We were 19 years old.
Well, you were 19. I was 18.
I was 19.
20. I was 19. Okay, we were in our late teens, early 20s, and we're watching like it's.
So
just
it was
on the
legal.
fucking
It was
movie.
legal. Whatever happened was legal.
Yeah.
I know I was 19 because I was living in my first apartment outside of my parents' house.
That's actually
Okay.
if I'm thinking about correctly about the car I was driving, then I think that sounds about right. Yeah. Okay.
You
all
were
right.
probably still driving the neon, bro.
I'm pretty sure it was the neon. He was 19.
Yeah.
So
Pink neon.
and it was just on, I think, and you were watching it, and I think your girlfriend at the time was just kind of in and out of the room, and I came over and we were drinking, and it just happened to be on. We continued to watch it. At one point, Craig was like, he kind of looks like a young Al Pacino.
Almost.
And I was like, Craig, that is Al Pacino.
Young too.
So
That is in
time I
fact a
see-
young Al Pacino.
Yeah, and so every time.
To be fair,
See. Mm-hmm.
Al Pacino in Godfather.
Mm-hmm.
Al Pacino in, say, the first movie I ever probably saw Al Pacino in, which was, I think, it might have been Devil's Advocate.
That's a good
Fucking
one.
brilliant movie.
That's a good one.
Not the same guy.
Very true.
Technically the same guy.
Well, no, he's-
Actually the same dude.
Al Pacino is such a good actor
Yeah, true.
I mean,
that I didn't recognize him
He's
as a
the best-
19-year-old boy.
the
That's
best
fair.
over actor there ever was. Not that I can do any better, but yeah, I mean, and Devil's Advocate to
The
be
best over actor? You got to give that to Shatner, bro.
okay, yeah, that's true.
Shatner,
But,
Jim Carrey, and Al Pacino can all three duke it out.
I mean, the vocal fatigue had really set in by Devil's Advocate, and he was a lot wrinklier, and he wore glasses in that movie, if I'm not mistaken, for most of the.
Now, if we're talking Godfather 3, that's the same Al Pacino from Devil's Advocate. Just when they thought it was out, they pulled me back in.
Coincidentally, if you would have cut him in half, he would have had more rings too. You could count the rings, and I would have told you.
That's how that works. It's just like a redwood, you know.
Yeah.
Because you should cut down a redwood.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
We have too many of them actually. I think from what I've heard, the numbers of redwoods are too high. They're starting to encroach on other wildlife, so we actually need to thin out their numbers. So we should go hunting.
A true conservation.
Same thing with bald eagles.
Yeah, exactly. It is open season on bald eagles now.
That's
officially.
right. Get out there,
Species.
bag you some eagles.
Oh my god. We're gonna be in so much
Whoa.
trouble. Distance, what is our quote for this week?
Our quote for this week is from another John Cusack film. I hadn't planned this,
Sweet.
but Craig mentioned it, and this is one of John Cusack's lines in the movie. Dear Mom, fuck you.
Oh my god. That is going to bring us to the end of another episode of the Metacast podcast. If you are watching this on YouTube and you've enjoyed the conversation, hit the like button, subscribe to keep up to date, and comment below and tell us what you thought about High Fidelity. If you're interested in further taking part in the conversation or even joining us as a guest on a future episode, you can join our Discord. The link is in the description down below. And we will be live next week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, twitch.tv/TylerTV. Thanks everyone for listening, and I hope you have a great week.